Hey everybody, how's it going? This video is on more of the 40k role-playing game out there, or games I should say, because it's technically different games overall in the same system. Focusing on Dark Heresy still. I went over the core book, and aside from the Dark Heresy book itself, there are some books that I call the expansion books, and there's a decent amount of them for being radical. You know, if you want to be learn more about the Dark Gods and possibly fall to chaos, they have books for that. They have books for uh, alien creatures, demon hunting, all that jazz. Books for really high-powered characters if they actually get to that level, how to continue on. That's kind of like an epic level thing. And they even have adventure books. No, I don't get the adventure books, but I try and get the different expansion books out there because I find them interesting. And if you want to get in a Dark Heresy, or you are in a Dark Heresy game, whether you're running it or playing in it, especially if you're running it, it's a little bit easier to introduce stuff like this. But in my opinion, if you're kind of just looking to pick up no more than a couple of books um, after Dark Heresy, in the Dark Heresy scope, so Dark Heresy expansion books, in my opinion, you only really need to pick up two. And one of them is only for if you're going to be in a game of basically epic level proportion, high end level characters. Um, the other one, which is this one right here, is useful from the get go all the way up to that level. Um, and this is the Inquisitors Handbook. This book is called the Ultimate Player's Guide. Kind of its tagline right here. This one was from Black Industries, but Fantasy Flight Games that still produces it, I'm pretty sure. And the Inquisitor's Handbook is a soft-covered book. It's pretty big. It introduces a lot of different things to help make characters more personable. It offers more kind of like a starting world type of thing. And the three they introduce, I think it's three, maybe four. I think it's, well, I'll list them. They introduce being from a Forge world, which is pretty cool. They introduce being mind cleanse, like maybe you did something, you did some horrible atrocity or witnessed something terrible. Instead of killing you, making you a servant or whatever, they cleansed your mind, they mind scrubbed you, and this is not your character, which is some cool role playing aspects there. They introduced Nobleborn. So if you want to be from a noble family, which is pretty cool because they had mention of it in the core book, but nothing really was there of it. And then I believe the last one is a Scholar Progenium, is the best way I can pronounce it. Orphans, pretty much. And that has a career path that's in here for the Adepta Sororitas. Now, there's a book called Blood of Mars, which I'll do later on, which has a much better, in my opinion, Battle Sisters, Sisters of Battle, type of thing. To represent it more in line with the 40k tabletop game. This represents, I guess, that as well, but it does a good job. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's not quite as what we expect when we first think Battle Sister. You don't think some lady in robes and maybe some a chainmail shirt and peasant garb. Aside from that, devoted pretty much solely to worshiping the Emperor. We picture battle sisters in power armor getting ready to do something, or just the Ordo Hospitaller and all that. Anyway, so if you want a more hardcore battle sister, this book doesn't do that right away. You get to there. This is more working up towards that. But that aside, it also introduces with those homeworld stuff, you get your stats and your traits and all that. It introduces backgrounds a bit for the character. It modifies like the background. So if you're an assassin, it kind of modifies what you start with a little bit. And some traits, it kind of changes it a bit. So if you have two assassins in your party, let's say, they won't be exactly the mirror images of each other. They'll actually be kind of diverse, which is cool. And it has that for pretty much all the classes. Then it can modify existing careers. So eventually, if you're going down the assassin or the guardsman or the cleric path or whatever, you could, at rank 4, instead of going to rank 4 traits, you can go with, or talents and skills that you can get. It gives you a different table to choose from. So, firstly, there's no map in this book because it's soft cover, I think. But this is under the advanced character creation thing, and we have, this is the Sisters of Battle, and here we have, I believe, modifying existing careers, and you get a table that you choose from. This is a Black Priest of Maccabeus, and you can do that. If we zoom in a bit, at rank 4 or higher is when you have to be a cleric, is when you can do it, and there's other requirements, and you get special type of stuff sometimes, and you get a different table you can buy talents and skills and all that off of, which is pretty cool. So they have that for a variety of careers. And then a big portion of this book, really, once you get through the careers, is still in careers, is feudal. It says feral and feudal worlds. Basically, the rest of this book primarily is an armory. It gives you range weaponry, melee weapons, armor, gear, and miscellaneous stuff. So it goes through it in detail what you will find in feral and feudal worlds. And then once you get past that, you will get into, you can find it, Hive and Forge worlds. And it gives you, again, these, go back, this gives you a bit more. This gives you Hive world, ranged weapons, melee weapons, armor and gear, consumables, drugs, and services, Forge world, ranged weapons, melee weapons, armor, implants, the blessings of the Omnissiah, servitors and familiars, and gear. So basically it goes over what you can find pretty much on those worlds. Here's stuff for servitors, for example. So it gives you some NPC type things if they have to encounter a servitor for whatever reason. And this gives you a Praetorian battle servitor, so you get some of the cool stuff in here. Let's see what else. Here we have Frontier Worlds and the Void, which pretty much sums up everything else for the most part. And then, just paging through real quick. War Zones, it goes over. The Holy Ordos, it goes over and what they have. Religion and Superstition. This gives you more background stuff to include in your games and things of that nature. So basically, this is a big book of things to spice up your characters. Basically, it's a player's guide to the Calixtic Sector and what's in the Calixtic Sector in terms of gear, war, the different Inquisition orders, so on and so forth. The reason I highly recommend it as a book to get is because of the fact that you can really make in-depth characters. I mean, you could before, but now if two people want to be a cleric, it's not them going, well, we don't need to have the same stuff, the same character pretty much with a different name and a slightly different backstory. Even, as crazy as you get with that, and as specialized as you try and get, you can have a lot of redundancy there that maybe you don't necessarily want in a party, especially if it's a small party, or maybe they just don't want to do that. Maybe they do, but they don't want to compromise the party or whatever. Now you get the ability to really have somebody be a cleric and somebody be a cleric of something, the priest of Maccabeus or whatever. Or I really want to be this, and what insert career and then insert advanced career here. I like that fact. It also goes real in depth with the weaponry and the gear. So instead of having generic last pistol, you can have these different marks of last pistols which do different things, some of them, which is pretty cool. It just adds that depth to the game that the game wasn't really lacking, but it certainly just opens up a lot of different opportunities here. So that's why I recommend the Inquisitors Handbook. Like I said, if you're looking for a real hardcore battle sister type of career, you're gonna need to look at Blood of Martyrs, and I'll do that video sometime in the future. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the Inquisitor's Handbook, and until next time, take it easy.